whoever had a bar mitzvah boy in his house, practicing for his kriya, is accustomed to hearing again and again and again the common tropes, the musical notes, to tell us how to read the pasuk. However, there are some rare ones that appear sometimes once or twice throughout the entire Torah. One is a trop called karnei para. It looks like two circles on sticks going in opposite directions, similar in a way to the horns of a cow. Another rare trop, and it usually comes together, is a note called yerach ben yoimai, literally a moon only a day old. It looks like a semicircle closed at the bottom, open at the top, and a vertical line protruding from underneath. These two rare tropes, the karnei para and the yerach ben yoimai, both appear in Parshas Masai, and both appear in the same pasuk. They come as a set. In Parshas Masai we have the cities of the Levim. The Levim had no land to plant, but they did have cities to live in. Not only did the Levim get cities, they also got an area around the city. The pasuk says, the cities they shall have to dwell in, and their surrounding belts should be for their animals, for their goods, and the basic amenities of their lot. And actually, the area around the cities of Levim was divided into two. There would be 1,000 amas on each side. An amma is about 2 feet. So there would be 1,000 amas on each side. That was the midrash, and there was an additional 1,000 amas on each side, which was added, and you couldn't build anything there. It had to be kept green for fields and vineyards. So the pasuk says, "Umadaisim, you shall measure mechutz le'ir, from without the city, in all different directions, 2,000 amas is passed. Kedma payim b'yama, on the east side is passed. Negev payim b'yama, on the south side is passed. Yam payim b'yama, there's passed Safan payim b'yama. The Yair Batavach, and the city is in the middle. Now, Alpayim ba'ama, when the pasuk begins, Umadaisim, you should measure mechutz le'ir as pas kedma, on the east side, Alpayim ba'ama. Under the Alpayim, you have this rare trop called a yerach ben yoimai. And on top of the word ba'ama, you have this rare trop called karnei para. What is the sound of a karnei para? Well, it's very similar to a pezer, a trop that sort of weaves in and out and gets louder and louder. A good balkaida will distinguish between a karnei para and a pezer, but they're similar. So why is it that we were zaycha dafka in this Shabbos to these two chashav guests, a karnei para and a yerach ben yoimai? Two such rare tropes, and they're both here together. And what connection does it have to this Indian of leaving an area around the city of the Levim? So let me share with you a mahalach over here from the Sefer Amunas Itacha. The Medrash says, Hishbiyani b'meroyrim. That refers to Yom Tov Rishon Shel Pesach, where the pasuk says, Al masais u'meroyrim. Besides for Mora, what is so bitter about the first night of Pesach? Well, the first night of Pesach is not bitter, but there's a connection to bitterness, and that is that the first night of Pesach is always the same night as Tisha B'Av. That's one of the reasons for the eggs. That's the cheshbon of At Bash, which determines all the Yom Tovim. Aleph is the Taf, as Beis is the Shin. So Aleph, the first day of Pesach, is Taf, is always Tisha B'Av. What is the connection between the first night of Pesach and Tisha B'Av? Well, the Amunas Itacha explains, it's not so much to bring the Tisha B'Av into Pesach, but it's more so to bring the Pesach into Tisha B'Av. It's for Yidden to understand that Golus is not an independent entity. Golus is a prelude to Geula. If there is Golus, then there has to be a way out. The Kadosh Baruch Hu would have never created the Golus without an exit door. We see that as soon as the Yidden came into Mitzrayim, right away Yocheved was born. Because Moshe Rabbeinu, the Goyal, would have to be there right before the Yidden went into Mitzrayim. Golus Mitzrayim could not start without him. The Rebbeinu Shalom never starts a Golus unless there is already the way out. For that reason, the Medrash says that it is Tisha B'Av, which is Mashiach's birthday. It's brought down in the Torah Archaim, Siman Taf Yud Zayin, that the 12 months of the year correspond to the 12 Shvatim. In the Kizzei Arizal it is brought down that the Seder corresponds to the Seder HaDegalim, the way the Yidden were set up and encamped in the Midbar and the way they moved in the Midbar. According to that, being that Shevet Yehuda moved first, so the first month, the month of Nisan, corresponds to Shevet Yehuda. Now Yehuda was followed by Yisachar and Zvulun. So Nisan is Yehuda. Yisachar and Zvulun are Ir and Sivan. Tammuz would then be Ruvain, which was the next in the line of the Golim. And the month of Av corresponds to Shin. Thus Rashi says, and this is from the Sefer B'nai Yisachar, in Parshas Zayis HaBracha, Shema Hashem Koil Yehuda. But Rashi over here, there's a remnant to the bracha to Shin. From the bracha of Yehuda, we see that when Yisrael was divided, Shimon would also take from the Goyel of Yehuda. They were intertwined. Like the Pasuk says, Mechavel, B'nai Yehuda, Nachlas B'nai Shima. Why did the respective territories of Yehuda and Shimon have to sort of tangle together? Because Yehuda corresponds to Nisan, that's Pesach, that's Geula. Shimon is Av, Shimon is Galus. And Galus and Geula are always linked. The first night of Pesach is the night of Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av doesn't stand alone, it's connected to Pesach. The Emunah Tzechel says a Peladik Arenev. Tisha B'Av is Gematria 780, and that is the same Gematria as the word the Nisan Asidin Ligoy. The Klal Yisrael is destined to be redeemed on Nisan. The redemption of Nisan and the Galus of Tisha B'Av are linked. They're inseparable. Galus has to have within itself the seeds of Geula. The mazel of the month of Av is a lion. In Eicha we read, I read in the start, the lion is hidden. What does it mean the lion is hidden? Because B'Emes, the month of the lion, has a hidden chesed in it. The Zohar Kodesh says there is no animal that has as much rachmanis on its children as the lion. But the chesed is hidden. When you think of a lion, you don't think about a kind, gentle little thing. When you think about a lion, you think about running and the roar of the lion. But in the inherent nature of the lion, there is a rachmanis that it has that no other animal has. In Chodesh Av, which represents Gevura, which represents the roar of Galus and all of the pain of Galus, somewhere hidden in Av is its real essence. And that is chesed. What is the mazel of Nisan? A tleh, a sheep. Now a sheep, that is chesed, nice, gentle animal, provides clothes for us. But pnimius, there isn't that much of a difference between the sheep and the lion. Both represent chesed. Mazel of Ari is the same gematria as Mazel Nisan Tleh, says the Sefer Emunah Tzechel. Both have the numerical value of 291. During the days of Ben Hamtzarim, we read the three haftarahs of Puranius: Divrei, Shimu, and Chazal. Liyasid Lavai. These 3 weeks will be the greatest 3 weeks of the year. They will be the greatest Yom Tovim of the year, but we weren't zeicha yet to see it. But the pnimius, somewhere deep inside, in the essence of these difficult days of the lion, is the purest chesed. Just like Pesach is our Yom Tov of Geula, when Mashiach comes, these weeks of Ben Hamtzarim leading up to Tisha B'Av will be weeks of the greatest joy, of the greatest simcha. The rule of At Bash, which is Aleph is to Taf, is Beis is to Shin, and so on, which teaches us in all the Yom Tovim are, Aleph, the first day of Pesach, corresponds to Taf, which is Tisha B'Av. Beis, the second day of Pesach, is always the same day as Shin, as Shmini Atzeres. At Bash is Gematria, Divrei, Shimu, and Chazan, the three haftarahs of the Ben Hamtzarim, to show that all the Yom Tovim are really embedded into these weeks of pain. The Sanzer Rav once pointed out that from Chamishas B'Shvat and on, the days get higher and higher until Shavuos. There are no 2 weeks from Chamishas B'Shvat until Shavuos that you don't have a Yom Tov. You have Chamishas B'Shvat, and you have Rosh Chodesh Adar, and you have Purim, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Pesach, Rosh Chodesh Iyar, Pesach Sheni, Shavuos, until Shavuos. When you get, however, to Chaf Sivan, which according to others, there's a minhag to fast for older people. Chaf Sivan is already the last third of the month of Sivan. So it begins to sink down toward Tammuz. Here you have the beginning of the Ben Hamtzarim. And the days keep on getting, in a sense, darker and darker. More difficult and more difficult. At least on the outside there are days of Gvura, days of Din, until Chamishas B'Av. When it gets to Chamishas B'Av, again it starts going up. In Parshas Bahaloicha, which we read usually during the week of Chaf Sivan, you have 7 times the trop Pazer, which is spelled Pei Zayin Reish, which means Pizer, scattered, separated into Galus. That's the beginning of Golus. And really that's the nigun of the Pazer. Pazer. Not consistent. In, out, weaving all over, Klal Yisrael, separated, running in all different directions. That's the beginning of Golus. But like every Golus, the seeds of Golus always come together with the seeds of Geula. Therefore, the gematria of the word Pazer, if you were to spell it out, meaning, Pazer is spelled Pei, Zayin, Resh. But if you take the Pei and you say, how do you spell the letter Pei? Pei, Yud is Pei. How do you spell a Zayin? Zayin, Yud, Nun. That's Zayin. How do you spell Resh? Resh, Yud, Shin. Well, the gematria of Pazer, if you spell it out, is 667, which is the same gematria as the Karei Pizarenu. Ravana Shalom, take Klal Yisrael that is scattered among the Golus and bring us back. So in the path of Golus, as we are scattered above the world, you have already the Karei Pizarenu, the way back as well. Pazer is also the gematria, you spell it out, Ruach Melech Mashiach. Corresponding to the 7 Pazers that you have in Parshas Balaischa, we have 7 weeks of Nechama, after the 3 Haftarahs of Golus. Now the Mishnah says in the Masechtas Rosh Hashanah that all shofros are kosher to blow in Rosh Hashanah with the exception of a shofar shel parah with the shofar of a cow. Can't use that. Why not? So the Gemara says, because shofar Amar Rachmana, the Torah says only one shofar, v'lo shnayim u'shloisha shofars, not 2 or 3 shofars. And the shofar of a parah by nature doesn't look like one bone, but it's structured in such a way that it's like piece by piece. It looks like several shofars. The mitzvah of shofar represents the calling together of Klal Yisrael, to Kabe Shofar Gadol. That's the bracha that begins the Kabe Shofar Gadol, where we say the Katzenu Yachad, where we say the Karei Pizarenu. The pasuk says the day will come when Yitaka B'Shofar Gadol, we will blow on the great shofar. Ubahu Oivdim the Eretz Ashiv Anidachim the Eretz Mitzrayim. Shofar represents the calling together of Klal Yisrael. So the shofar of a cow, which appears like many different shofars, does not represent this achdus, which is the goal of the shofar. That is why the trup, which we call karnei para, the horns of a para, because that's what it looks like we explained at the beginning, these 2 lollipops that go in different directions. We read this very similar to a pazer, because pazer means scattered, and karnei para represents the scattering, the opposite of achdus. Karnei para is also a remes to Chodesh Av. That's when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed through Sinas Chinam and Pirud Halavavos. Now Reb Tzaddik says in his Sefer Pri Tzaddik that the name of a Sedra represents the Teichen of the Sedra. Well, Parshas Matis Masai is Gematria 635, which is the same Gematria as Keren Para. Now the pasuk says about the month of Nisan, HaChodesh Elochem Rosh Chodashim, the Shloar Kaddish says, Nisan is a month where every single day on its own is considered an independent Rosh Chodesh. It's interesting to note that the Chayza used to tell his Talmidim during the month of Nisan exactly what's going to happen to them throughout the entire year. On the first day of Nisan, he told them what's in store for them throughout the month of Nisan. On the second day of Nisan, he told them what's in store for them throughout the month of Iyar, and so on. One year he stopped on the 5th day of Nisan. He told them what's going to happen to them during the month of Av, and he did not continue. And later they understood why, because he was nifter that year on Tisha B'Av. So we see that every day of Nisan is like a Rosh Chodesh on its own. It represents a whole month later on in the year. You can't fast during any day of Nisan. Each day is like Rosh Chodesh. Each day is a Yom Tov on its own. So the Emunah Sitecha suggests that perhaps we can venture to say that a trop, which is called Yerach Ben Yoimai, is a remes to Chodesh Nisan, where every day is Rosh Chodesh on its own. Ben Yoimai, if it started today. Yerach Ben Yoimai is Gematria 332, the same Gematria as Chodesh HaAviv, which is Nisan. Now, the Paiskim that talk about how trops work, they say that this trop, called a Yerach Ben Yoimai, always serves a Karnei Para. It never appears independently. So, if Karnei Para represents the month of Av, the scattering of Klal Yisrael, and the Yerach Ben Yoimai is the month of Nisan, which gathers us together, now we understand. The Chelik of Shimon, the Chelik of Galus, is always intertwined with the chelik of Yehuda. Just like the day of Tisha B'Av has to be the first day of Pesach. So the Yerech ben Yoimai, the month of Nisan, is always there before the Karnei Parah. The birth of Mashiach is Dafka on Tisha B'Av. It's all the same thing. Now, take the word Shofar and spell it out. In other words, if you spell the Shin, Yud, Nun, and so on, then it is going to be the same gematria as Karnei Parah, Yerech ben Yoimai. Because the purpose of the Shofar is to take the Karnei Parah and turn it into the Yerech ben Yoimai, to call back the Yidden that are scattered around the globe, the Karnei Parah, and to turn it into the month of Nisan, the month of Achdus. So where's the one time in the Torah where you have a Yerech ben Yoimai and a Karnei Parah? Dafka, this Shabbos, Pashas Matis Masai, which is always Shabbos Mevarchim Av, or sometimes it's the first week of Av. To remind us, even though we're entering now the darkest phase of Galus, but that means that it has to be linked with the greatest source of Geula. Now, where do we have these traps, Yerech ben Yoimai and Karnei Parah? Dafka on these words that describe the Alpayim Ba'ama, the 2,000 Amois that are around the Ori Halavim. The area around the Ori Halavim, we said before, is referred to as a Migrash. What does Migrash mean? A place to get away. Vayigoresh es Adam. Chasing a person away. So it's a remnant. Even though we are chased out of the city, out of Yerushalayim, but you should know we are still considered a chelik of the city. Even b'shas hagalus, even b'shas hapirut, even when we're distant from the city, from the Beis Hamikdash, which is so precious to us, you should know you're never too far. The Karnei Parah, which represents the separation, is always linked to the Yerech ben Yoimai. Umadoisa michutz le'ir is past Kedma Alpayim Ba'ama. Here's where we have our Yerech ben Yoimai and our Karnei Parah, those two traps. Past Kedma, the east side represents the Degel of Yehuda. And right afterwards it says, Pas Negev Alpayim B'Yama, the south side where you had Shevet Ruvain and Shevet Shimon. Shimon and Yehuda always have to be next to each other. It's also interesting to note that when the Torah describes to us the boundaries of Eretz Yisrael, we begin with the Yam HaMelech, and the Torah comes back around to the Yam HaMelech. The Yam HaMelech, that's a place of destruction. That's a place of emptiness. That's where Sodom was. Why mark the boundaries of Eretz Yisrael with this? The answer is to prove exactly what we're saying. That the worst of sorrows is always embedded in Geula. Out of Sodom came the daughters of light, subsequently Rus, and from Rus, David HaMelech. And that's how the Dafka read the pash of the boundaries of Eretz Yisrael during the Bein HaMetzarim, to emphasize this. That as dark as it gets, and as difficult as it gets, the seeds of Geula are here as well. Dafka over here. Here's where they are planted. When was the Ram Avinu Mispal for the Anshi Sodom? It was on the first day of Pesach. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu help that indeed we should be zeicha to understand what it means to be in Galus, so that in Mela we will understand how to see the seeds of Geula right here and now.
This shiur is distributed by Kolodah, 11 Seichemet Street, Yerushalayim. For donations, please call 02-5383-999. Fax 02-538-0267. Postbox 57035.